All right, let's just jump right in because today we're tackling a totally backwards idea. And it's this: the more you try to look rich, the harder it is to actually become rich. It sounds crazy, but it turns out that signaling wealth might just be the most expensive habit you have. Okay, so picture this. You're walking into a car dealership. You've got the nice watch on, you pull up in a luxury car, the salesperson's eyes light up. Before you've even said a word, they've sized you up. They've pegged you as someone who isn't going to haggle too much, someone who can afford to pay whatever they ask. Now, hit rewind. Let's imagine that exact same scenario, but this time you roll up in an old, reliable car, wearing a t-shirt and jeans. Suddenly, their whole game plan changes. They see you as someone who's careful with their money, someone they're going to have to work with to actually make a deal happen. And bam, just like that, there's a price tag on your appearance. That difference in what you're wearing and driving is worth $4,200. It's like an instant status tax that you pay for looking rich. And believe me, this doesn't just happen on the car lot. It happens everywhere. That negotiation tax, that's really just the tip of the iceberg. The more wealth you put on display, the more you're basically painting a giant target on your back. You open yourself up to a whole host of hidden costs and risks in ways you probably haven't even thought about. So let's talk about one of the scariest ones, so-called whaling attacks. And no, this is not your typical spam email asking for a gift card. These are highly customized cyber attacks. Criminals literally scroll through your social media, see the car you post, the neighborhood you live in, your job title, and they use all of that to build a profile on you and craft a believable scam to drain your accounts. Now, here's what's really alarming. According to the FBI, these attacks aren't just happening. They're skyrocketing, a 62% increase in just 3 years. That tells you that the people doing this are getting really, really good at it, and they're getting way more aggressive. And if you fall for one of these scams, well, the cost is absolutely staggering. The average loss is $47,000. And here's the kicker. You don't even have to be wealthy to be a target. You just have to look wealthy online. The criminals, they aren't looking at your bank statement. They're just looking at your signals. So to really see how this all adds up over time, let's do a little case study. We're going to compare two people who, on paper, start from the exact same financial spot. This is where you can see the real, cold, hard math behind the cost of a high-status lifestyle. So let's meet Visible Victor and Stealth Steve. They've got the exact same income, the exact same net worth. The only thing that's different is how they approach life. Victor thinks you've got to show your success to be successful. Steve, on the other hand, he focuses on what he calls social invisibility, keeping his finances completely under the radar. Okay, now let's actually look at the numbers. This table breaks it all down, and the difference is, well, it's huge. Victor's got a car payment that's almost 10 grand a year. Steve has zero. Victor's mortgage is nearly double what Steve pays. You can see how this starts to add up, and fast. When you boil it all down, Victor is paying a status tax of over $23,000 every single year. That's money spent purely on signals, on looking the part. It's money that Stealth Steve gets to keep, to save, and most importantly, to invest. And this is where their stories go in completely different directions. Let's say Steve just invests that 23 grand difference each year. After only 10 years, assuming a pretty standard 7% return, he's more than $322,000 richer than Victor. This isn't some financial wizardry. It's just the raw, brutal power of opportunity cost. But it gets so much worse. I mean, once you factor in all those indirect costs, Victor constantly overpaying for things, having less leverage in salary talks, being a bigger target for scams, the wealth gap over a lifetime can be close to $1 million. Think about that. Same income, same starting line, completely different finish line. Okay, so this brings up a huge question, right? If the math is so clearly a terrible deal, why are we so obsessed with signaling wealth? Well, the answer isn't in a spreadsheet. It's buried deep in our own psychology. See, this drive to signal is hardwired into our brains. For our ancient ancestors, status wasn't about looking cool. It was literally about survival. Today, that old programming just makes us chase the modern version, the little dopamine hit you get from a like on Instagram or when someone compliments your new watch. It can also be a cover for insecurity. We use stuff on the outside to try and quiet our doubts on the inside. And this right here, this reveals the fundamental shift in thinking. The genuinely wealthy people, like Warren Buffett driving his old modest car, they don't need a fancy watch to feel okay. Their validation comes from their balance sheet, not from what you think of them. They have actual financial security, so they don't have to buy the feeling of it. So the big question is, how do we actually do this? How can we start thinking and acting this way? Well, let's break down the strategy. This is the practical playbook, the 4 key rules for building real wealth without making yourself a target. Okay, let's run through the plays. Rule 1, buy for quality, not for signals. This means focusing on stuff that works well and lasts long, not on the logo that's plastered on it. Rule 2, lower your threat profile. A simple car and home just don't attract the same kind of trouble. Rule 3, master your negotiation context. Use that modest appearance to give you an edge in any money conversation. And finally, Rule 4, and this is a big one, manage your social circle. Get away from the pressure of keeping up with the Joneses. Really, the master rule for today's world is this: signal competence, not wealth. Competence is shown by being on time, by being prepared, by speaking clearly. Wealth signals are all about logos and price tags. And in almost every situation that matters, competence is what gets you ahead, while flashing wealth can actually work against you. And for the world we live in now, this part is absolutely non-negotiable. Your online life is a huge vulnerability. You have to assume everything you post is public forever. Stop posting the fancy car. Stop geotagging the 5-star resort. And for goodness sake, never post about a bonus or a big investment win. That little hit of dopamine you get from the likes is just not worth the risk. At the end of the day, it really all boils down to this one powerful idea. The true position of strength is to be underestimated. It's having significant resources that absolutely nobody else knows about. That's social invisibility, and it's your single greatest financial asset. So I'll leave you with this to think about. I want you to take an honest look at your own spending habits. What are those status signals you're sending out really costing you? Not just in dollars and cents, but in lost opportunities and in your own peace of mind. The answer might just change everything for you.